language is like always changing, right?
Yeah. So you know, like the
Like,
amount
let's
that
be
you can
honest,
assert.
like I have like 20-year-olds having conversations with me and I'm like, can you tell me what that word is, right? Like language is always changing. Like there's new slang, there's new terms. Like sometimes like a word that like we define, right, is like defined differently like by another generation, right? So it's like definitions even like have variation to them.
This is
And James Joyce exists.
No, screw that guy.
Yeah, if folks want, this is my ultimate evidence as to why like traditional linguistic approaches that are word-based are just stupid. Look up thunder words. In Finnegan's Wake, there are a series of words, each of which is 100 characters long. They exist only in Finnegan's Wake and things referencing Finnegan's Wake. And each one of them has a really specific meaning. And now 100 years later, we've even figured out what many of those are.
Well, I think language it's interesting in our personal lives and it's interesting in our professional lives because in either, right, it's always in intent versus impact, right? When I say something or I write something, me personally, right, I have a certain intention, but that impact could be different to you, Slater, to you, Wells, and to you, Madison, right? Like the intent could be like it could be varied, right? Even though my impact was one thing, or my intent was one thing, and the impact across the three of you was very different.
I mean, even, I think humans are pretty clever. You can even take that to another point. I can often say things that I know that two people will interpret in two different ways. And sometimes that's intentional, right?
Yeah. If you're good. Yeah.
I mean, that's it. It's political doublespeak,
master manipulator.
Deep learning is a very effective technique, right? See, it's like if I say something like deep learning is a very effective technique, I know that a skeptic will hear, but there are limitations. And I know someone who's on the side of deep learning will hear, yeah, they're giving deep learning credit.
No, that one of the beautiful things about our language models, though, the base language models, is that they're trained on the data where language is evolving, right? Like they're trained on scraping the internet, and
they have this inherently really fuzzy internal representation of what language is, right? They're built on this notion that yes, language is actually fundamentally different based on the context around it, right? And also on the flip side, that there is inherent meaning to things that aren't words, right? And that even when we see, one of these ridiculous thunder words in, Finnegan's Wake, you actually can kind of intuit a little bit what they mean, even though it doesn't look like any word that anyone has ever said or written.